Have you ever had days where you feel like you're not enough? Like no matter how hard you try, you're stuck in the shadows of self-doubt? Maybe you've looked in the mirror and thought, why am I even here? What's the point of all this? If that resonates with you, let me assure you you're not alone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Buddha's Odyssey, a place where we journey together through timeless Buddhist teachings to uncover peace, purpose, and wisdom. Feeling worthless is a silent struggle that many of us face, often without anyone noticing. It's like carrying an invisible weight that drags us down. But what if I told you this burden isn't yours to carry forever? What if there's a way to let it go? Today, I invite you to embark on a journey of self-discovery and healing. Together, we'll explore practical Buddhist wisdom, powerful stories, and mindful practices to help you see your life's true worth. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand how to deal with feelings of worthlessness, you'll learn how to transform them into a deeper sense of purpose and inner peace. Now let's begin. Number 1. Understanding the struggle. Feeling worthless is a universal experience. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what you've achieved. This emotion can seep into anyone's life, often during moments of vulnerability or failure. But why does it happen? To truly overcome this struggle, we must first understand its root causes. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of dukkha, often translated as suffering or dissatisfaction. The Buddha explained that much of our pain arises from ignorance, our inability to see things as they truly are. When we feel worthless, it's often because we've bought into distorted narratives created by our own minds. These narratives tell us we're not good enough, that we've failed, or that we lack value. The mind magnifies these thoughts, turning them into what feels like undeniable truths. Let's consider an example. Imagine a high-achieving professional who loses their job unexpectedly. Despite years of accomplishments and the respect of their peers, they might think, I'm a failure. My career is over. I'm worthless. This thought cycle is not based on reality but on fear and self-doubt. The same principle applies to everyday struggles, whether it's a failed relationship, an exam we didn't pass, or a mistake we made. Instead of seeing these events as temporary, we internalize them as reflections of our worth. You might think that a monastery, a place of peace and spiritual growth, would be free from such struggles. But even monks are human. I remember during my training, despite being surrounded by supportive mentors and practicing mindfulness daily, I often felt like I wasn't enough. No one criticized me, yet my mind whispered, "You're not good enough. You're a failure." These thoughts were relentless, even when everything else in my environment was positive. The reason for this lies in the habit patterns of the mind. The mind, when left unchecked, tends to focus on negatives. It clings to past mistakes, amplifies fears, and creates scenarios that feed feelings of inadequacy. This is why the Buddha emphasized mindfulness not as a luxury, but as a necessity to observe and understand the workings of our mind. Another factor contributing to feelings of worthlessness is our dependence on external validation. We often measure our worth based on how others perceive us. When that validation disappears or doesn't meet our expectations, we are left feeling empty. Buddhism teaches that true self-worth cannot be found externally. It must come from within, a realization of our inherent value as living beings. One of the hardest things to accept is that life doesn't always go as planned. We face setbacks, losses, and disappointments. However, Buddhism teaches us that these experiences don't define who we are. Instead, they offer opportunities for growth. Every challenge, no matter how painful, is a chance to understand ourselves better and to cultivate resilience. Acknowledging that feeling worthless is a shared human experience is the first step toward healing. When we understand that these emotions are often products of our mind's distortions, we gain the power to challenge them. The Buddha didn't promise a life without suffering, but he did offer a path to rise above it through wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness. Number 2. Practical lessons from Buddhism. Now that we understand the root of feeling worthless, let's turn to practical Buddhist teachings that can help us navigate and transform this struggle. Buddhism isn't just a philosophy, it's a guide for living a mindful and fulfilling life. Here are 3 timeless lessons that can help us shift our perspective and reclaim our sense of worth. One of the first and most impactful lessons I learned as a monk was this: check the reality. Our minds are incredibly skilled at creating false narratives, but reality often tells a different story. When you feel worthless, pause and ask yourself, is this true? Is it really true that my life has no value? Or is my mind magnifying a temporary setback? The Buddha taught that the mind operates like a mirror. What we feed it determines what it reflects. If we constantly focus on our failures or shortcomings, the mind reflects negativity. To break this cycle, focus on facts, not feelings. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not good at anything," look at what you've accomplished, no matter how small. Did you help a friend today? Did you show kindness to a stranger? These seemingly minor actions are evidence of your value. Gratitude is a transformative practice in Buddhism. The Buddha emphasized that contentment comes not from acquiring more but from appreciating what we already have. When feelings of worthlessness arise, shift your focus to gratitude. Start by acknowledging the simple gifts of life: the air you breathe, the sunlight warming your face, the people who care about you. Keeping a gratitude journal is an excellent way to cultivate this habit. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Even small joys, like a good cup of tea or a kind word, count. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to notice positivity, helping you break free from the grip of negativity. One of the most profound teachings in Buddhism is the concept of dana, or generosity. When we give to others, whether it's time, energy, or resources, we create ripples of positive energy that benefit both the giver and the receiver. Generosity reminds us that our lives have value because we have the power to make a difference. Here's a personal example. During my training as a monk, I volunteered to help elderly residents in a nearby village. At first, I questioned what impact I could make, but seeing their smiles and hearing their gratitude changed my perspective. It reminded me that even small acts of kindness can bring immense value to others and to ourselves. The mind has a tendency to replay the same negative thoughts over and over, like a broken record. This is called samskara in Buddhism, a pattern of habitual mental conditioning. To break this loop, practice mindfulness. When a negative thought arises, don't suppress it. Instead, observe it with curiosity. Why am I feeling this way? Where is this thought coming from? By acknowledging your thoughts without judgment, you rob them of their power. A simple mindfulness exercise is to focus on your breath. Close your eyes, take a deep inhale, and slowly exhale. With each breath, visualize the negativity leaving your body. This practice grounds you in the present moment, helping you break free from the grip of unhelpful thought patterns. Lastly, embrace the present moment. The Buddha often spoke about the impermanence of life, reminding us that everything, including feelings of worthlessness, will pass. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about the future, focus on what's happening right now. Whether it's the sound of birds chirping outside your window or the taste of your morning coffee, savor these moments. They are reminders that life's beauty lies in its simplicity. Imagine you wake up feeling defeated. Instead of letting that feeling dictate your day, take these steps. Check the reality of your thoughts. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Perform a small act of kindness, like holding the door for someone or sending a kind message to a friend. Finally, spend a few minutes practicing mindfulness. By incorporating these practices, you'll gradually reshape your mindset and reconnect with your inherent worth. Number 3. The Boy and the Injured Sparrow. Let me tell you this story. In a small village nestled among green hills, there lived a young boy named Aaron. Aaron was an ordinary child, often feeling unnoticed and unimportant. His family was busy with their daily lives, and Aaron, being the youngest, felt like he didn't matter much. "I'm just a kid," he would think to himself. "What can I do that's meaningful?" One morning, while wandering through the woods, Aaron stumbled upon a small sparrow lying on the ground. Its wing was bent awkwardly, and it chirped weakly. For a moment, Aaron hesitated. "What can I do? I'm not a doctor. I don't even know how to help a bird," he thought. But then he remembered something his grandmother once said: "Even the smallest act of kindness can make a big difference." With that in mind, Aaron gently picked up the sparrow and took it home. He crafted a small nest from a shoebox and lined it with soft cloth. Each day, he fed the sparrow crumbs and water, carefully tending to its injured wing. Over time, the bird began to heal. Watching it grow stronger, Aaron felt a sense of joy and purpose he hadn't experienced before. Finally, the day came when the sparrow was strong enough to fly. Aaron carried it outside and opened his hands. The bird hesitated for a moment, then flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Aaron stood there, smiling as he watched it disappear among the clouds. Later that evening, Aaron's grandmother noticed his newfound confidence and asked him why he seemed so happy. Aaron replied, "I helped the sparrow. At first, I thought I couldn't do anything, but now I see that even small actions can make a big difference." This story beautifully illustrates the core teaching of Buddhism. Our worth isn't defined by grand achievements but by the small, meaningful actions we take in everyday life. Aaron didn't need to be a doctor or an expert to help the sparrow. All it took was his willingness to act with compassion. How this applies to us. Like Aaron, we often underestimate our ability to make a difference. When feelings of worthlessness arise, we might think, "What can I possibly do that matters?" But the truth is, small acts of kindness like helping a neighbor, listening to a friend, or even smiling at a stranger can have a profound impact. In Buddhism, this idea is tied to the concept of karma. Every action we take creates ripples, much like a pebble dropped into a pond. When we act with kindness, those ripples spread outward, touching others in ways we might not even realize. And in the process, we discover our own value. Number 4. Addressing common obstacles. Understanding the struggle and learning practical lessons is essential, but the journey doesn't end there. Life presents us with obstacles that can reignite feelings of worthlessness if left unaddressed. Let's explore these common challenges and how Buddhist teachings can help us navigate them with clarity and resilience. 1. Breaking the loop of negative thoughts. One of the most persistent obstacles is the mind's tendency to replay negative thoughts. This mental habit, known in Buddhism as samskara, reinforces feelings of inadequacy and traps us in a cycle of self-doubt. The more we think, "I'm not good enough," the more deeply this belief becomes ingrained. To break this loop, Buddhism encourages mindfulness, a practice of observing thoughts without attachment or judgment. Instead of resisting or suppressing negative thoughts, try this simple exercise. When a thought like "I'm worthless" arises, acknowledge it. This is just a thought. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Does it reflect reality? Imagine the thought as a leaf floating down a stream. Watch it drift away without chasing it or clinging to it. This practice shifts your perspective, reminding you that thoughts are fleeting and don't define who you are. 2. Letting go of external validation. Another obstacle is our reliance on external validation. Society often teaches us to equate our worth with achievements, wealth, or approval from others. When these things are absent, we may feel empty or insignificant. Buddhism, however, emphasizes the impermanence of external factors. The Buddha taught that true contentment arises from within, not from the fleeting opinions of others. Reflect on this. What would happen if you stopped seeking validation and instead focused on living in alignment with your values? By letting go of the need for approval, you create space to appreciate your inherent worth. 3. Accepting imperfection. A common source of worthlessness is the belief that we need to be perfect. Whether it's striving for a flawless career, appearance, or relationships, this unrealistic expectation sets us up for disappointment. Buddhism teaches that imperfection is not only natural but also beautiful. The Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, which celebrates the beauty of impermanence and imperfection, aligns closely with this idea. When you make a mistake or fall short of your expectations, try practicing self-compassion. Speak to yourself as you would to a friend, it's okay to struggle. This doesn't make you any less worthy. Over time, this practice rewires your mind to approach challenges with kindness rather than criticism. 4. Facing fear of change. Change is inevitable, yet many of us fear it. Whether it's the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or simply growing older, change can trigger feelings of uncertainty and worthlessness. But as the Buddha taught, impermanence, anicca, is a fundamental aspect of life. Embracing change allows us to grow and adapt. Consider this metaphor: life is like a flowing river. If we resist the current, we feel stuck and overwhelmed. But if we learn to flow with it, we discover new opportunities and perspectives. When faced with change, remind yourself that it's not an ending, it's a beginning. 5. Overcoming the ego's expectations. Our ego often creates unrealistic expectations of who we should be, leading to disappointment when reality doesn't match the image. Buddhism encourages us to let go of the ego by embracing anatta, or the principle of no self. This doesn't mean denying your existence but understanding that your identity is not fixed, it's fluid and ever-changing. When you free yourself from rigid expectations, you allow room for growth and self-discovery. Instead of asking, "Why am I not enough?" ask, "What can I learn from this moment?" Here are 4 practical strategies to help you break free from negative thought patterns and rediscover your inner strength. 1. Pause and reflect. Question the validity of your thoughts. When negative thoughts arise, they often feel overwhelmingly real. But are they true? Start by challenging the validity of these thoughts. For example, if your mind says, "I always fail at everything," ask yourself, is this statement entirely true? Reflect on past experiences where you succeeded, no matter how small. You might realize that the word "always" is an exaggeration. What evidence supports this thought? Often, you'll find that negative thoughts lack solid proof. They are emotions disguised as facts. What would I say to a friend in my situation? This question shifts your perspective and encourages self-compassion. A practical exercise here is to create a thought journal. Each time a negative thought arises, write it down and analyze it. Label it as opinion rather than fact and rewrite it in a way that aligns more closely with reality. Over time, this practice helps reduce the automatic acceptance of negative thinking. 2. Practice self-compassion, nurturing yourself with kindness. Self-compassion is about treating yourself as you would a dear friend. When you stumble or make mistakes, avoid harsh self-criticism. Instead, try these strategies. Use gentle language. Replace phrases like "I'm so stupid" with "I made a mistake, but I can learn from this." Language shapes how you perceive yourself. Acknowledge shared humanity. Remember that everyone makes mistakes. You are not alone in your struggles. Engage in self-soothing activities. When overwhelmed, practice mindful breathing, listen to calming music, or take a walk in nature. These activities help reset your emotional state. A simple daily ritual is to place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and say, "It's okay to feel this way. I am doing my best, and that is enough." This small act reinforces kindness toward yourself. 3. Embrace change, turning challenges into growth opportunities. Change often feels intimidating, but it's also a chance to grow. To shift your perspective on change, consider these steps. Reframe the narrative. Instead of viewing change as loss, see it as transformation. For example, losing a job might open the door to discovering a more fulfilling career. Focus on what you can control. When faced with uncertainty, identify areas where you have agency. Taking small, actionable steps builds confidence and reduces anxiety. Learn from nature. In Buddhism, nature often serves as a teacher. Observe how trees lose their leaves in autumn only to bloom again in spring. Embrace the seasons of your life with the same acceptance. Practical tip: keep a journal where you track how you've adapted to changes in the past. Reflect on what you learned from those experiences. This exercise helps you see change as a teacher rather than a threat. 4. Find internal stability, moving beyond external validation. Relying on others for validation creates a fragile sense of worth. To cultivate inner stability, focus on building self-awareness and aligning with your values. Here's how. Identify your core values. Write down what truly matters to you: kindness, honesty, creativity, or growth. Let these values guide your decisions rather than seeking approval from others. Engage in mindfulness practices. Spend 5-10 minutes daily observing your breath or practicing gratitude. These practices ground you in the present moment and reduce the urge to seek external validation. Celebrate personal progress. Instead of comparing yourself to others, track your own growth. Did you handle a difficult situation better today than you would have a year ago? Celebrate that progress. A Buddhist analogy often used here is the candle. A candle doesn't diminish its own light by lighting another. Similarly, your worth isn't determined by others' opinions. Shine your light confidently, knowing it comes from within. Number 5. Finding joy in small actions. One of the most powerful ways to combat feelings of worthlessness is by finding joy in life's small, everyday actions. Buddhism teaches that fulfillment doesn't come from grand achievements or dramatic changes, but from simple moments of presence and intentionality. When we shift our focus to the small, meaningful actions within our reach, we discover the immense value of our existence. 1. The beauty of the present moment. The Buddha often emphasized the importance of living in the present moment. Feelings of worthlessness often stem from dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about future uncertainties. But life, in its fullness, unfolds here and now. Imagine sipping a cup of tea. Instead of rushing through it, pause and savor its warmth, its aroma, and its taste. This small act of mindfulness can transform a mundane moment into a source of calm and joy. When we anchor ourselves in the present, we reconnect with the richness of life. 2. Acts of kindness create ripples. Every action, no matter how small, has the potential to create a ripple effect. Holding the door open for someone, offering a smile, or listening without judgment may seem insignificant, but these gestures often carry profound meaning for the recipient and for you. A farmer once told a story that perfectly illustrates this. He would leave a basket of fresh fruits at the roadside with a sign that said, "Take what you need." He never stayed to see who took the fruits but felt immense joy knowing someone would benefit. This simple act of generosity reminded him of his purpose and connected him to the community around him. 3. Cultivating gratitude in daily life. Buddhist teachings encourage us to find gratitude in the ordinary. Instead of chasing extraordinary experiences, look for reasons to be grateful in your daily routine. Did you wake up to sunlight streaming through your window? Did someone offer you a kind word? Even the act of breathing, something we take for granted, is a miracle. A practical way to nurture gratitude is by creating a gratitude jar. Each day, write down one thing you're thankful for on a small piece of paper and place it in a jar. Over time, watching the jar fill up serves as a visual reminder of the blessings in your life. 4. Finding purpose through service. Another way to find joy and a sense of worth is through service to others. When we focus on making someone else's day brighter, we are reminded of our ability to contribute meaningfully to the world. Think of a monk sweeping the monastery grounds. To an outsider, it may appear as a menial task, but to the monk, it's an act of mindfulness and service. The simple action of cleaning becomes a way of expressing care for the community and the environment. Likewise, your actions, no matter how small, carry meaning when done with intention and compassion. 5. Embracing life's imperfections. Lastly, finding joy requires us to embrace life as it is, imperfections and all. Buddhism teaches us to let go of the desire for perfection and instead appreciate the beauty of what's real. Think of a cracked ceramic bowl. Its flaws tell a story of resilience, much like our own. The Japanese art of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, symbolizes this truth: our imperfections make us unique and valuable. And here's a challenge for you: spend one day intentionally finding joy in small actions. Greet a stranger, water a plant, or write a thank you note. At the end of the day, reflect on how these acts made you feel. Chances are, you'll discover a sense of connection and fulfillment that dispels feelings of worthlessness. Life isn't measured by monumental milestones but by the countless small moments that fill our days. When you focus on these moments, you'll see that your existence is far from worthless, it's brimming with potential and meaning. By embracing mindfulness, practicing kindness, and finding gratitude in the everyday, you unlock the true essence of what it means to live a purposeful and joyful life. 6. Conclusion. To everyone who has ever felt lost, unworthy, or burdened by self-doubt, I want you to take a moment to breathe and remember this: your life is a miracle. The very fact that you're here, alive, breathing, and capable of change is undeniable proof of your inherent value. The struggles you face don't define you, they shape you into someone stronger and wiser. In Buddhism, the lotus flower is one of the most profound symbols of hope and transformation. It grows in muddy, murky water, a challenging environment, but instead of being weighed down by the mud, it rises above it, blooming into something beautiful and pure. Like the lotus, you, too, can rise above life's challenges and bloom. The mud represents difficulties, self-doubt, and feelings of worthlessness. But these struggles don't define your potential. What defines you is your resilience, your willingness to grow, and your capacity to transform adversity into wisdom. Let the lotus be your reminder that no matter how difficult things may seem, you have the power to rise and shine. Your worth is not determined by external circumstances but by your ability to grow through them. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and mindfulness. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to Buddha's Odyssey. Together, we can continue exploring the timeless wisdom of Buddhism and uncovering the beauty of our lives. Remember, you are not alone. You are valuable. And you are capable of creating peace and purpose, one step at a time. Until next time, may you find serenity in your mind, compassion in your heart, and joy in every breath you take.